problem we have to continue in this topic. Here, from a rifle of mass 4 kg, a bullet of mass 500 gram is fired with an initial velocity of 35 meter per second. Calculate the initial recoil velocity of the rifle. So here we had applied the application, momentum application. Momentum of the rifle we had to apply. M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2. We can apply in this formula. So according to law of conservation of momentum, momentum of the rifle is equal to momentum of the bullet. Both to be applied. Then we can get the velocity of the rifle to be calculated. Okay. So M1 V1 is equal to M2 U2. Whatever M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2. M2 V2 or M1 V1 plus M2 V2 is equal to 0. Like that also we have to consider whatever the application to be taken. So from a rifle, question will be from a rifle of mass, from a rifle of mass, from a rifle of mass, rifle of mass 4 kilogram, 4 kilogram, 4 kilogram, a bullet of mass 50 gram, a bullet of mass 50 gram, bullet of mass 50 gram is fired with an initial velocity of, is fired with an initial velocity of, initial velocity of 35 meter per second. 35 meters per second. Calculate the initial recoil velocity of the rifle. Calculate the initial recoil velocity. Recoil velocity of the rifle. Recoil velocity of the rifle. Recoil velocity of the rifle. That's the question. So here I can consider the application M1 V1 plus M2 V2 is equal to 0. Your initial velocities are not to be considered. Here velocity is only final velocity after firing only. We have to get these values. That's why we consider V1, V2 values only. V1 and V2 masses are given. Here we can calculate the momentum of the rifle, that is velocity of the rifle. We have to calculate V1 value. We have to calculate. So here application is M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2. Like that also we have to write. That is momentum of the rifle is equal to momentum of the bullet. Like that you have to consider. So by considering that we can calculate. Here mass of rifle is equal to mass of rifle M1 is equal to 4 kilograms. M1 is equal to 4 kilograms. And mass of bullet is equal to mass of bullet M2 is equal to 50 grams. 50 grams we have to convert into kilogram. 50 by 1000. 0 cancel. Now to divide this value, 0.05 kilogram you get. 0.05 kilogram M2 value we have to get it. Okay. Now velocity of the bullet is equal to velocity of the bullet velocity of the bullet V2 is equal to 35 meter per second. 35 meter per second. Then velocity of the rifle V1 is equal to how much? So momentum of the rifle is equal to momentum of the bullet. Momentum of the bullet, that is m1 v1 is equal to m2 v2. Now m1 is how much? 4 into v1 is equal to m2 how much? 0.05 into v2 35. Now v1 is equal to 0.05 into 35 by 4. Now again, to remove the points here, what do you get? Or to multiply with 0.0535, what do you get? Whatever simple method is 5 by 100 to take down 100 into 4. So 5 answer 5 20s. Yes, 5 sevens are 5 fours are. Now what do you get? 7 by 8. Oh sorry, 7 by 16. 7 by 16. 4 fours are 16. Now to divide this 7 into 16, 0.0. Then you get it 16 fours are 64. 6 0. Now 16 threes are 48. 48 means 12 0. Now we can approximately to be considered as its velocity will be taken as 0.4375. So 7. So 7 112 means 8. So 80 5s are. Now what do you get? V1 is equal to 0.4375 meter per second. That is the velocity of the rifle. So very small velocity will be at 0 point means it's a very small velocity will be considered here. So in this model we can apply this momentum's application to be taken. Okay. Now next question to observe. Next question will be, so here in this case to observe this momentum force application. Simple applications will be there in this, but all will be important one. Now to consider the next problem. Next problem to be considered. Let's now what big one. Two objects of masses 100 grams and 200 grams are moving along a same line and direction with velocity 2 meter per second and 1 meter per second respectively. They collide with, after the collision, the first object moves velocity 1.67 meter per second. Then determine the velocity of the second object. So here to apply both applications, m1 v1 is equal to m2 m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. All applications to be applied in that to calculate the v2 value. Okay, so here total application will be given. Here two objects of masses 100 grams and 200 grams. Two objects will be two objects of masses 100 grams and 200 grams are moving 200 grams are moving along a same line same line, and direction with velocity, same line, and direction with velocities, and directions with velocities 2 meter per second and 1 meter per second respectively. 2 meters per second and 1 meter per second respectively. Now what happens? They collide. These are initial velocities. Next they collide. So they collide, and after the collision, the first object moves at a velocity. After collision, the first object moves with velocity. The first object moves with velocity 1.67 meter per second. 1.67 meter per second. Now, determine the velocity of the second object. Determine the velocity of the second object. So second object velocity we have to calculate. Here we can apply the formula m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. In this case we have to calculate this v2 value. Mention m1 u1 values are same, then you can calculate v1 u1 u2 values are given, v2 value to be calculated. But here masses are given in grams now, to convert that value into kilogram. Now mass of the first body m1 is equal to how much? 100 grams. 100 grams to convert into kilograms, that is 100 by 1000, 0 zeros. To keep fraction only, 1 by 10 kilogram. Then initial velocity u1 is equal to how much? 2 meter per second. 2 meter per second. And another mass of the body m2 is equal to how much? 200 grams. That is equal to 200 by 1000. 2 zeros, 2 zeros, 2 ones are 2 fives are. Now this is equal to 1 by 5 kilogram. Now u2 is equal to how much? 1 meter per second. Then v1 is given as 1.67 meter per second. Then v2 is equal to how much? That's the question. So once again we call the formula m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Now m1 is how much? 1 by 10. 1 by 10 into u2 plus m2 how much? 1 by 5. 1 by 5 into 1 is equal to mass 1 by 10 into 1.67 into m2 1 by 5 into v2. 1 by 5 into v2. That's now 2 ones are 2 fives are. Now what do you get here? 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 is equal to 1.67 by 10 into 1 by 5 into v2. That we get. Now first we take LCM for this. 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 means LCM will be 5. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 1.67 into, to multiply that value, 10 into 5 is 50 v2. Now 1 plus 1 2. 2 by 5 is equal to 1.67 by 50 into V2. Now we have to calculate the value of V2. Now set this side. 2 by 5 into 5 by 1.67 is equal to V2. 5 ones are 5 tens are. Now that is equal to 20 by 1.67 is equal to V2, or otherwise to remove the points here, but you get 20 into 100 by 167 is equal to V2. Like that also I have to consider. Now to divide 2000, this value will be 2000 with 167. So one time 167. Now 330. Now 1 2 saw 2 4 3 3 times not go, 2 times only. 2 sevens are 14, 2 6 are 12, 13. So this also will be large. So one time only to be considered. 167. 2 plus 1 3 34. So 3 12. Here to make 1.67 with 60. 2 is equal to meter per second. So to do like this only. 20 divided with 167.0 one time 167. So 3 so only point is there 0 one time 167 12 3 3 12 12 means 6 1 163. So keep 0. So approximately 9 times 963 54 60 105. So leave it. So what you get? V2 is equal to 0.119 or 112 to write as more than half unit is no 0.112 meter per second. So final velocity of that object will be 0.12 meter per second. Okay, continue in next class.